Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Hope you guys are all doing well. We've got a fantastic show on the way. But first, I just want to say thanks to NordVPN, our sponsors here at the Everything is Black and White podcast, who without none of this would be possible. And we've teamed up with them to offer our listeners and viewers an exclusive offer. You can click the link in the podcast description box or go to nordvpn.com/tune to sign up and save your pennies on a plan. It is well worth your time to sign up. You are secure, you are safe, and you're supporting the podcast. Why sign up? I hear you ask. Well, there are a host of benefits. For me, it is the value for money because one subscription can be used across 10 devices. That's your work phone, your personal phone, your tablet, what have you. 10 devices, one subscription. I mean, that is the definition of value for money. The other thing I love about it as well is the way that it keeps your details safe and secure when browsing on public Wi-Fi. So if you're on the bus, the train, you're in a cafe and you're connected to their Wi-Fi, there is always the risk that your details could be compromised. That's your bank details, your passwords, and a load of other stuff as well. But with Nord, you are safe and you are secure. And that for me means a heck of a lot. And look, if you're going abroad as well and you're missing your home comforts and you want to keep with it with all your UK streaming services, then you can click the location back to the UK and make sure you never miss your favorite program. What is not to love about it? It's absolutely fantastic. Very simple to get on board. You download the app, you sign up, and away you go. You're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping yourself secure, and you're supporting the podcast at the same time. And another benefit, and I've already mentioned three, and there are a host of other things to mention as well if we had the time. But the final thing I'm going to mention is a 30-day money back guarantee. So it's literally no risk. If you don't like it, get your money back. But you will like it because it's a superb app to have on your phone. Keeps you safe, keeps you secure. And once again, you're supporting the podcast. So click the link or go to nordvpn.com/tune to take advantage of an exclusive offer for our listeners and viewers of the Everything is Black and White podcast. Roll the titles. Hello and welcome back to the Everything is Black and White podcast. It's time for the view from the opposition, and this week it comes from Simon Parker from the Telegraph and Argus, the chief sports writer there, covering Bradford City. Simon, welcome to the podcast. How are you keeping? Are you well?
Yeah, very good. Very good, thanks.
Are you looking forward to the trip north to St James's Park on Wednesday?
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, December 2000 last time, so yeah, it's long overdue, and these are the sort of trips we've massively missed with this club, and it's great to be looking forward to it, have that buzz again.
Yeah, certainly so, and it's going to be a very fascinating night. I think if you'd asked Newcastle United fans what they would have liked in this round, of course, the first round of the competition this season where they defend their title, they probably would have said, we'll take a League One side. But in reality, it's a very dangerous League One side, which I'm sure you're about to tell us about. They sit top of the table, 6 wins out of 9. I mean, the season's gone particularly well for them in the opening weeks.
They've been absolutely flying. I mean, to be honest, they probably had one bad day at Doncaster, and that was probably one bad half. I mean, apart from that, they've been excellent. You know, I think it's taken us all by surprise. There was a lot of confidence coming out of the camp in the summer. Not sort of big-headed, but just a confidence that they could cope with this level and deal with this level. And they brought in a lot of players who played League One. So, you know, it wasn't a case of a sort of a new team trying a level they've not seen. But I think it's just sort of surpassed how well they've done so far. And not just in the league, obviously in the cup as well. You know, the fact they've been to Blackburn and Stoke, 2 championship clubs, and won both. I mean, you know, they played Stoke off the park. Stoke will say they made 9 changes, but I think City made 7 or 8 that day. So, you know, it was an excellent performance. So they'll go there. Yeah, huge underdogs. I think I saw one of the bookies has got them 20-1, I think, to win in 90 minutes. So, you know, it's one of those massive long shots, but no pressure on them, and they've shown they can cope in different scenarios. So it'll be interesting to see how they do on the biggest stage that I've seen.
When we get these sort of fixtures, there's always questions about how serious either side are taking them. Obviously, one playing in the Champions League, the other one going for promotion to the Championship. I think with Newcastle and under Eddie Howe, we want to progress as far as possible in every single competition. There will, of course, be rotation and changes because we have a big kind of run of games coming up. What is the answer in terms of Bradford? You've mentioned there was a few changes in kind of the last rounds. Is this a priority for them, or is I suppose, does it have to be League One?
Well, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because as I say, they've made, they changed half the team in previous rounds, and he has a tendency to do that. I mean, Graham Alexander's big on the squad. It's all about every squad member rather than individuals. That's his message, and he says, I've got faith in them all. They'll all play their part. So anyone in and out, it's not a case of being dropped. It's a case of keeping up energy levels and just putting someone else in who can play the same role. So it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because before, when this fixture first came out, obviously everyone wants to play in it, but now having started so well in the league, they've got Blackpool at home next Saturday, and you wouldn't prioritise Blackpool at home over Newcastle away in a cup side, but it's become a huge fixture. Blackpool, I mean, the manager will give it every game is that level, but in terms of, you've suddenly got top of the table for the first time in God knows how many years, and their home form is fantastic, and that has become a real priority game for them. But having said that, of course, everyone wants to play at Newcastle. Players will be begging to be involved, so I think it's quite a tough call for him. There are a couple missing through injury anyway, so he's a bit, hamstrung in a couple of positions. But generally, I think it's going to be a very interesting selection call, and I would think the team will be pretty much what it's been in the league, with perhaps one or two changes as opposed to 5 or 6 as we've seen.
I guess when you're wanting to achieve promotion and what have you, momentum is always key, isn't it? It doesn't matter what league you're in, momentum is always key. So if you go out of the competition, that might, bring about a bit of bad confidence or bad morale. And I guess the bottom line is you want to try and win every game that you compete in.
Yeah, I think it's a case of just doing themselves justice, in that if they go up there and they play well, and Newcastle just show why they're a Premier League team and beat them by a couple of goals, no one's going to sort of say what went wrong there. Obviously, what they don't want to do is any sort of stage fright, and just sort of rabbit in the headlights. And looking at this team, I don't think that'll happen. There's a lot of experience. You've got a former Sunderland captain in this side, which will always add a nice little edge to it. So I think there's a good mix of experience and sort of younger players in this squad. So there shouldn't be any case of sort of huge nerves on the night.
I think from Newcastle's point of view, there, like I say, there will be changes, but there'll still be some big names turning out, and the expectation, of course, will be that Newcastle will progress through to the next round. Although we have seen lower league sides in the FA Cup and this competition come up in previous years and really give Newcastle a good test. In terms of how Bradford approach the game, in terms of play and tactics, what are we expecting from them?
Well, they play the same way, and basically try and go at teams. They don't, the strange thing is they don't have a lot of possession. I think that I've seen a stat saying that it's only one team who's had less possession in League One this season than Bradford, but they are very effective with it. They press hard. He talks about the out of possession being as important as in the possession, and they don't give teams time on the ball, and they're quite, and they counter very effectively. And what they won't do is sit back. I mean, he made the point on Saturday. They went to Cardiff, who hadn't conceded a goal from open play all season, and he said, we could have sat back here and tried to contain them, but it would have been like a slow death sort of thing. We only know one way to play it, sort of going at them, and that's what we did. And it rattled Cardiff. Cardiff couldn't handle it. So I think they'll have a go, which they can get played round. Obviously, Newcastle, play round the press, then they could be in trouble. There'll be gaps there, but equally, they'll ask questions, and Newcastle's defence will know it's been in the game.
I think also when you are a lower league side coming to St James's Park with the knowledge and the expectation that everyone thinks you're going to get knocked out, that's also something to take advantage of, isn't it? That kind of underdog spirit. You can try and rewrite the headlines that everyone's already written. Yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean, the previous 2 rounds, no one really gave them huge chance at Blackburn first round, and no one really thought they'd get past Stoke, and they've got through. And if you go back, the history books suggest 2013, this team were a League Two side that stepped out at Wembley in the final of this competition. So, they've got the track record as a club. They beat Arsenal on that run, and famous nights like that. So, as underdogs go, this club are sort of they like being written off and like being sort of played down in a sense, because as you say, they can go out there and do themselves justice and just sort of see how Newcastle cope with the pressure and expectancy of being expected to roll over a League One side.
And in terms of a weakness that Newcastle maybe will try to exploit on Wednesday, what would it be?
Well, again, I'd imagine the pace of Newcastle's play could cause problems. Let's say if City like to press, if they get round that with the speed and with numbers going forward, there are, as we said, there are going to be gaps. And that's the way that City operate, and they do get found out from time to time. But it's one of those, you sort of gamble. If you're going to attack and have a go, you're always going to leave those gaps, aren't you? But having said that, they certainly won't sit back and frustrate. Anyone who's at the game who sort of thinks the lower league team will sit there, men behind the ball, try and time waste their way to 90 minutes and scrape through on penalties. I mean, that certainly won't be the case. If they go out, it certainly won't be through want of trying.
And I guess stories that we've already seen, in this competition. You've mentioned the previous 2 rounds with Bradford, but Grimsby knocking out Manchester United on penalties, and it should have been in normal time, shouldn't it? Really, and that'll give Bradford even more hope that they can cause an upset.
Well, exactly. I mean, this competition's rife for that sort of result, isn't it? Particularly early on. It's almost like again, Newcastle only played handful of games this season, haven't they? So playing early in the season, you're sort of feeling your way in. Whereas the lower league sides, obviously, you played 2 other rounds. They played more league games. Bradford City have played 12 games in all so far this season. So they're sort of match worn, so to speak. Whereas I suppose some of the higher up sides who've not played so often because of international breaks and what have you, starting later, they're still sort of perhaps finding their feet. So there is always the capacity, for one team sort of not quite in their stride and another who've been playing for a while. It sort of perhaps levels the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, well, this has been Newcastle's 6th game of the season,
Yeah.
so more than double Bradford have played, haven't they? So, in terms of a player to watch out for, and I know it's very hard to maybe pick one because we don't know exactly what the starting 11 will be, but based on your predictive starting 11, who is the one player we should watch out for?
It's Josh Nerfville. I think he would have played against Newcastle last year for Wimbledon at the same stage. I haven't checked the team, but he's been an excellent signing. He plays right wing back. He got him up straight after Wimbledon got promoted, and he's got pace. He runs at plays. He's more of a sort of winger who plays with a defensive role as well. But he's a great outlet for them, and I just think he's been very, very good. And this could be the sort of stage, a big pitch, big occasion for him. He's the sort of player who can make things happen, perhaps.
And in terms of a player that you're particularly fearing, perhaps, or Bradford will be fearing on Wednesday, again, hard because we don't know the team, but we think Anthony Gordon will probably start out on the left. And I mean, he might be the man that you pick, but there'll be a host of other stars, likely maybe Sven Botman starting at centre back as well. Is there anyone that you're particularly looking forward to seeing or fearing?
I was going to say Gordon. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously you wouldn't expect sort of Joe Linton and people like that to play, but again, they're going to play a half decent team, aren't they? Because it's the first defence of the trophy. It's been many years since Newcastle won a major trophy, and I can't imagine they want to sort of field a so-called weakened side on their first defence of it. Because it just sets you up for trouble, doesn't it? So I would have said Anthony Gordon, to be honest, but I think any of those players, Bradford City know they'll be in a game. They're the sort of players they're not going to see week in, week out, and it is a huge step up. But you've got nothing to lose.
Precisely. And do we know how many fans are travelling up to take in the game? Is it going to be a big following?
Well, they sold out. The allocation's just under 5,000, and it's all gone. So they're all up there in the gods. So I think they could have sold more, but it was a case of that's what you're given. But the travelling support has been good. It's been very loud, and they're loving it so far. I mean, the ironic thing is last year their away form was pretty poor. They only won 5 times away from home, and I think it was about the 15th best in the division. It was the home form that carried them to promotion last year. But so far, they've done very well away. I mean, they won at Stockport, which is a tough place to go. Obviously, they had a great result at Cardiff at the weekend. and they've had those 2 cup games. So it's not a case of going away and supporters sort of thinking, oh, here we go again. I think they'll relish it. It's confidence sky high, and it's like, bring it on. This is a great occasion. It's a free hit. Let's see what they're made of.
It sounds like it might be a sellout then, I think, because it's one of the few chances that people get to see Newcastle play, because tickets for Champions League and Premier League are just in such demand. So it sounds like it'll be a sellout on the evening, which is fantastic for the competition and fantastic for everyone involved. Give me your score prediction then. How do you think this one's going to go?
I think Bradford City will score. So I'll go 4-2 Newcastle. I think there'll be goals in it, and I think it'll be a decent game.
Well, there we go. Thank you very much, Simon, for popping on and providing the insight into Bradford City ahead of the League Cup clash on Wednesday evening. To you guys watching and listening, thank you as always. Make sure you click the link in the podcast description box for your special offer on your NordVPN plan. Leave us a comment, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe as well, and I'll catch you guys later in the week.